Good morning, friends. I thought that I would make a little video talking about USDA hardiness zones. I think that there's actually quite a bit of confusion about how to utilize the hardiness zones to help you have the best experience possible in your gardening. So one of the things I see a lot on social media is there will be an account, a gardening account, homesteading account, what have you, and they're in a specific zone. And I'll see people commenting or asking questions saying, I'm in the same zone as you. What can I plant in that zone now? So you might live in zone 6 and the person you're following might also be posting about being in zone 6, but that doesn't mean that what they can plant is what you can plant, because hardiness zone doesn't tell you when and what you can plant. Hardiness zone tells you what types of plants will survive or do best where you are. So we live in, technically it's zone 6A, which means that our lowest temps we're supposed to get to are -10, which we go way lower than that quite frequently. So I tend to lean towards getting things that will survive in zone 5 or even zone 4 to make sure they can actually make it through our winters here. But so we live in zone 6A. We can buy plants that will survive down into the negative temps, but that doesn't tell me when I can plant those plants, because some people who live in a zone 6 area, their last frost date might be in May. So they can start planting things out now. My last frost date, technically, is sometime in the middle of June, with the possibility of freezing at any point in our growing season. That's just one of the joys of living in the high desert at the elevation we live at. And it definitely makes it challenging because we have at best a 90-day growing season. So the thing that tells you when you can plant is your frost date. So the frost date, the last frost date, is just that. It is the day that you're more likely to get the last frost of that year. So for some people in, like, zones 7 or 9, they rarely have any possibility of frost, and their last frost date is probably sometime in March or even February. Where we are, like I said, our last frost date is in the middle of June. Most places, just as a general rule, often their last frost date is in April or the beginning of May. So most people can freely start planting things out actually in the springtime, as soon as the weather changes and the ground is workable. Here we have to wait quite a while unless we want to have everything get frozen and die, which isn't very pleasant. We did have snow one year on July 3rd. That was a little over the top even for here. But the thing that you need to remember when you're looking for when you can plant and what you can plant and how you can plant is you want to look at your frost date for when you can plant. Because it doesn't matter if everything you've got says it'll do fabulous in zone 6 if you plant it before your frost date, because they're going to freeze and die. So when you're looking at big things, permanent things, hard landscaping, bushes, trees, perennials, all those things that need to survive a winter and last, that's when you need to look at your hardiness zone, and you need to see what's suitable for where you are, for how cold it gets or how hot it gets where you live, and that's where you use your hardiness zone. When you're just looking at when to plant, when can I put out my starts, when can I put my tomatoes in the ground, when can I do all these things, that's when you need to look at your last frost date. all these things are easily findable these days online. You just type in USDA hardiness zone and your zip code, and it comes up with your hardiness zone. And the same thing for your last frost date. You should be able to put that in and your zip code, and it should just come right up with that date for you. So just a little tip for folks so that you don't get disappointed or have a hard time or all your stuff freezes. You want to look for that last frost date before you put your stuff out. It doesn't matter if you have the same zone as someone if their frost date is different than you. The last frost date is what you need to figure out when you can put your starts in the ground. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you have a great growing season and abundant harvest. Thanks for watching.